I was committed too much to my flaws, my insecurities. I was committed so much to all the wrong things to where I couldn't even keep my mind in a place where I can even pray or even think about God.
Walking like I talk it, yeah, I walk it. Yeah. Flowers never grow without some water.
What's going on, y'all, and welcome back to another episode of The Lion's Den. I am your host, Pastor D, and today we are going to be learning from the topic of peace of mind. Peace is mine. And what I love so much about this, before we get into it, is that there is a peace that God is desiring to offer us in this season of our lives, but we'll never get to know this peace if we don't stop being addicted to our trauma, our triggers, the pain, the past, and everything that stands in our way from getting to know this peace or obtaining this peace as our own. I want to start out in Philippians 4, verse 7 in the AMP, and then I'll read Isaiah 26, verse 3 in the AMP. And it starts off in Philippians 4:7, and it says that in the peace of God, that peace which reassures the heart, that peace which transcends all understanding, that peace which stands guard over your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus is yours. And what I love so much about this verse as we break it down, I love that it starts off and it says that it reassures the heart. And as humans, we're always looking for that reassurance. We need that reassurance to know that sometimes, we're doing a good job, to know that, everything is okay, that everything is going to be okay, because sometimes it's kind of hard, when we're going through things to see the other side of it, and so what God does is that along our journey, he comes to reassure us that, hey, you're on the right path, you're on the right, on the right journey, you're going in the right direction. So he gives us that peace that helps us to keep going because it reassures us that we're tracking along with God. And so he says a peace that transcends all understanding, even so far beyond what our human minds can understand. We don't understand, like, how in the midst of so much chaos, how in the midst of so much turmoil and so many things that are going wrong and that's happening, in my life or around my life, in this world or around this world, how can I be at peace? And sometimes people can look at us and they can wonder, how is it that you have joy? How is it that you are able to smile, to laugh in the midst of everything that you're going through? And the thing that they don't understand is that when God gives you a peace, when he gives you peace in the midst of your situation, this is how you're able to do those things. And so sometimes to outsiders, because they may not fully understand the peace of God, it looks foreign to them. It looks weird to them. It looks kind of crazy because what they say, the first thing they say is that if it was me, I would be losing my mind right now. I would be in a mental ward. I would be here. I would be there, or whatever the case may be, because this is a peace that we can't fathom or truly understand, but we can just feel the power of it once we allow ourselves to indulge in this peace that God gives us. Another thing, it says that it stands guard over our hearts and our minds in Christ Jesus. It says that it is ours. This peace is here to guard against the darts of the enemy, against the darts of the old man, the old mindset, the old way of thinking, the old way of reacting, the old way of responding, the old way of doing things and carrying things and putting on too much and putting too much on your shoulder. This is what that peace is there to do, is there to guard that no matter what could be a possibility for your life, that God is giving you a peace that guards against that from coming to disrupt what it is that God is currently doing in your life. In Isaiah 26, verse 3, it says that you will keep in perfect and constant peace the one whose mind is steadfast, that is committed and focused on you in both inclination and in character, because he trusts and takes refuge in you with hope and confident expectation. And I love this. And so let's break it down. I love how it says that those that keep their minds stayed on you. And nowadays, it's too hard for us to keep our minds. We got too many battles going on the inside. We're worried about too many things. We got too many things going on for us to just simply keep our minds stayed on Jesus. But it says that if we can come to a place if we can shuffle through all the madness, if we can get through all of the disruption and the turmoil and everything that's blocking us and keeping us and holding us back from getting to this place of peace, this calmness, this stillness, this joy, this place of light, this place of life, this place of just relaxation that God is wanting to bestow upon us. If we can somehow sift through all of that, my God, I feel the Spirit of God. If we can sift through all of that, then God will keep us in this place of perfect peace, perfect and constant peace, meaning that we won't just know this peace today. We'll know it tomorrow. We'll know it every time stress tries to share it, wear its ugly head. Every time it tries to show itself, depression or whatever it is that we battle with, that we face. Anytime these things try to come up and disrupt what it is, God says in those moments, we just learn to keep our minds stayed on him. No matter if the bills are due, no matter if the truck note is due, no matter if we ain't got food to eat, no matter what's going on, if we just learn in the midst of these situations and what we call as problems and see as problems, but what God sees as a testing of our faith, if we just learn how to keep our minds stayed on God, then we'll be in this place, like he said, a perfect and constant peace where we ain't got to worry about anything, where we won't easily be disturbed, where we won't be easily thrown off course or thrown off track. It says, whose mind is steadfast, that is committed and focused. If we be honest, and I can be honest, I can remember times in my journey where I was committed too much to negativity. I was committed too much to darkness. I was committed too much to my shortcomings. I was committed too much to my flaws, my insecurities. I was committed so much to all the wrong things to where I couldn't even keep my mind in a place where I can even pray or even think about God or even get in the word to keep my mind on the word of God. I didn't have the strength. I didn't have the capacity. I didn't have the room because everything else was taking up space in my mind to where there was no room for God. There was no room for anything positive. And so what I had to learn to do is I had to learn how to surrender those things to God. In order for me to get into the place that I am in now of learning this peace, of knowing this peace daily and constantly as he promises, I had to learn how to get focused. I had to take my mind off of things that I couldn't control. I had to take my mind off of things that was not in my power to change. And like how it says, trust and take refuge with hope and confident expectation in God. I had to take my expectations out of self, and that's what's wrong with us. That's why we can't win this battle, is because too many of us, we have many expectations in the flesh and self and what I can do and what man can do and what everything else and everyone else other than God can do. But we don't come to know this peace until our expectations are fully in God, until we are committed fully to God in our minds, in our thinking, in our thoughts, in our feelings, in our emotions. When we get into that place, then we come to know a different side of life. We come to know a different side of happiness, of joy. We come to know this peace. We begin to have peace of mind, and the peace, it becomes ours. We begin to love it so much that I don't want nothing to disrupt this peace. I'm telling you, when you get into a place where you accept the peace that God is offering you, you're so protective of that peace that anything that could be a threat to that peace, you instantly begin to rebuke it. You don't give it no space, no time. I ain't got time for it. I see you, devil. I ain't got time for it. I see you, demon. I ain't got time for it. I see you, spirit of disruption. I ain't got time for it. I see you trying to distract me. I ain't got time for it. My peace means too much to me when I can get into a place of receiving the peace that God has for me. Before I close out, I want to give us 2 questions to really think about. The first question I really want to talk about is, what is the peace of God? And we learn so much from those 2 verses. And what we learn is that it's an assurance that everything, no matter what's going on with or around you, will be okay. It's an assurance that you ain't got to stress no more. It's an assurance that as long as you leave it in God's hands, that everything is going to be okay. My God, somebody out there needs to hear that. It's an assurance that God is on your side, that God got you. It's an assurance that you will know more brighter days than you will darker days. It's an assurance that you will be able to laugh, that you will be able to live, that you will be able to love from a new place. This is what it is. It's an assurance from God that I understand that the waves are acting up, that there's storms, that there's so much going on, but hey, I got you. You ain't got to worry, because if God is for us, who or what can be against us? It's an assurance that you can sleep at night. It's an assurance that you can go throughout your day and be focused on what it is that you're doing without having your mind in 50 different places at one time. It's an assurance that the moment you lock in with God and you focus on God, that your mind can actually stay there. That no matter what the enemy is trying to throw your way, that no matter what life is trying to throw your way, my mind is on God. My mind is on Jesus. And he's leading and guiding me. The next thing is that it's a feeling that even in the midst of storms brings you a calmness and a relaxation. While everybody else looking at you crazy and they looking at you deranged and wondering why you got so much peace, why you got so much joy, why you able to just live just carefree, why are you relaxed, why are you calm when everybody else is losing their mind, when everybody else is losing their way, when everybody else is stressed out, drugged up, drunk, depressed, sexing up, running here, running there, looking for an answer, looking for a way out, looking for something to just give them peace. And all the while, you're just sitting there with your mind on Jesus, thinking about his goodness. The next thing is that it's a promise that all your worries will cease. And the reason I know this is because in one of my favorite verses in 1 Peter 5:7, it says that Jesus says he encourages us. He says, cast all your cares. And he don't just stop there. He says, cast all your worries, my God, and anxieties upon me, for I care for you. This is simply an invitation for us to let go and to let God. This is an invitation for us to stop trying to play God and let God be God alone. This is simply God saying, hey, you ain't got to carry that. You ain't got to carry that cross, that load by yourself. I got you. When you feel weak, I am strong. I'm going to give you strength. When you don't know where to go, I'm going to show you. I'm going to light your path. When you feel like it's over and you can't go no more, you want to throw in the towel, I'm going to throw it right back and I'm going to tell you, keep going. I'm going to give you endurance. For the race is not given to the swift nor to the strong, but to the one that can endure, my God, to the end. This is what God is wanting to do for us. This is the kind of peace he's wanting us to have, to know, to where we ain't worried about nothing. We ain't worried about who like us, who don't like us, who supporting us, who don't support us, who with us, who ain't with us, who leaving us, who talking about it. We ain't worried about none of that. That's petty. That's childish. He wants our mind stayed on him because he wants us to know a beautiful life. He wants us to know a life that only he can give us. This is why he's offering us this peace, because he understands with all that we go through in this life. He understands how much it can weigh us down. And so what he's saying is, let me take that load. I got you. My last and final question is, what is keeping me from knowing this peace? And this is something that we have to sit with ourselves with and really ask ourselves, what is keeping me from knowing this peace of God? And one of the things is that we stand in our own way of being at peace by taking on too many concerns. As I stated earlier, being concerned about things that ain't got nothing to do with you. Being concerned about things that you ain't got no control over. Being concerned about things that God ain't even called you to be concerned about. But because we love to put on that cape and we want to save the world and we want to save everybody, we put this burden on ourselves that God never expected us to carry. Yeah, he encourages us to help each other carry each other's burdens, but he never told us to take on the world. Jesus came to do that already. We could be helpers one to another, but he also tells us how to be wise, to know when to walk away, to know when it's too much, to know when you're doing too much, when you're overextending yourself, overexerting yourself. The next thing is that the lack of trust in God, and that was one of the things. It says that that those that keep their mind stayed on him are the ones that that trusts and takes refuge in him with hope and confident expectation. And our lack of trust in God to handle that which we were never meant to be concerned about in the first place is what keeps us from knowing this peace that God is offering us. The next thing is that the need, as I stated before, to control, to fix, and to know everything. We stress ourselves out so much with these three things. If we ain't in control, we don't want no parts of it. If we can't fix it, we feel like a failure. And if we don't know everything, we cause chaos. This is what keeps us from the peace of mind that is promised to us. When we take our mind out of these three places, we'll know peace. Because it goes back to simply letting go and letting God. The last thing is that our mind is where it doesn't need to be. We've become too focused on the wrong things. And I can admit that I know what that's like, to have my mind over here when God is saying, keep your mind straight ahead. I'm thinking about tomorrow and next year and next month when God is saying, focus on today. I know what this feels like, so I know what it's like to have my mind in a place that it doesn't belong. But what I thank God for so much is that he's teaching me how to keep my mind centered and focused, committed to him. That no matter, again, what it is that I'm facing or going through, and I encourage you the same thing, that no matter what it is that's being thrown your way, you too can know peace if you just learn how to simply trust God. We make it harder than it needs to be. If it's easy for us to take our mind and put it in places that it don't need to be, then guess what? It's just as easy to say, I'm not about to worry about that. I'm about to trust in what God says. When you can look back over your life and you can look and think about the things that God has already done, that's a building block. That's a building place. That's a good place to start, because it reminds you that if he did it before, he can do it again. If he did it once, he can do it twice, 3 times, 4 times, however many times. And so I want to encourage us, when you go into prayer, start praying, asking God, Lord, teach me how to know the peace that only you can give me. Teach me how to center my mind only on you, to where no matter what I'm facing or going through in life, that I ain't stressed out, worried, depressed, sad, up and down, that I ain't going through the emotions about it, because my mind has stayed on you. I encourage you to pray that prayer. Lord, teach me how not to take on more than what you're giving me. Teach me how to learn when to let go, when to walk away, when to say enough is enough. Lord, I desire this peace that you are presenting to me. I want to know this peace. I want to know life with this peace. And the only way I can know it is if I learn how to get my mind on you and on you alone. That's my prayer for you. That's my prayer for me constantly. But I encourage you to share this video with somebody that you feel may need it. Like, comment, subscribe. And as always, God bless.
Wisdom is for free, but yet it's overpriced. And I never seen success happen overnight.